Good morning, everyone. I have the pleasure and the honor to share a few words with you today. So, first off, I just want to start with I hope everybody has had a wonderful Earth Day weekend and had a beautiful moment to share and celebrate the beauty of our planet, the people, the flowers, and all the wonderful inhabitants. I know it's been a delightful weekend weather-wise, a little chilly, but we can't complain. Even if we did complain, it goes nowhere. So, all right. So there's a lot of wonderful sayings about caring for the earth. One of my favorite ones is "Save the Earth is the only place where you can get coffee." I like how it addresses a very serious issue with some lightheartedness and addresses my very real caffeine dependency. So there's a lot of personal motivation there. But as Unitarian Universalists, I feel that like our sixth principle, the goal of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, and the seventh principle of being respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are part of, really come into focus during this weekend and every day, but especially with our current climate and however you want to approach climate. Both of these principles ask us to think collectively, to act in a matter of care and active concern. They place us as individuals within a web looking towards a just community of peaceful coexistence. And I think this is a wonderful call, and I appreciate the reminders that we are part of a web, a network, a system. Last week, I rode my bike to meet up with a friend on Nolensville Road. I live in North Nashville, and I love my bike. Don't get me talking about my bike. But it was a semi-comfortable and a little arduous journey of riding on very awesome bike lanes and then riding on some places that I was like, oh my gosh, I hope nobody hits me from behind. But it was a Sunday afternoon, so it was light traffic, and I did it. And of course, this friend is a particular friend advocates for dignified public transit systems. So I was like, okay, we're about to chat about some very real things that I just experienced. So we discussed the conditions of the public transit system, how dignity can be an intentional design, or how dignity can be excluded. You know, when you're forced to walk on the side of the road, to walk to a bus stop with no shelter, it's very clear that your experience maybe was taken into consideration into the planning, but it wasn't valued, and it was dismissed. So we discussed how like a public transit system is one of the many solutions to a climate crisis. And in conversations, we arose to the narrative of convenience. We talked about the need to adapt our current form of being, of existing, and transportation, so that we leave a better world for future generations. After our conversations, I kept returning to this narrative of convenience and how convenience seems to hide the cost of a lot of things. We're always told that something's going to be convenient, it's going to make our life better, and we adapt to it, we integrate it into our everyday existence. But let's talk about cell phones for a minute. I know you probably all are like, oh, where is my phone? Oh, here it is. We made that mental note. But cell phones were touted as a convenient thing to be able to reach anybody at any time, right? In an emergency case scenario, this is great. We can reach anyone. And now we carry these little distraction devices that demand our attention, sometimes more than children, with their cute hums and buzzes, and now we have an over-reliance on them. I think the average cell phone use in the United States is about 4 hours per day, and I think it goes up when people are in their teenage years. Another thing that is also an awesome convenience of our everyday is like driving. It's touted as a convenience, and now we have a car-dependent city and country with long commutes that are proven to be bad for your physical health, among many other issues. But all of these things were factored and repackaged into convenience. These are all supposed to make our lives better. So these things, services, frameworks, economic systems, they're supposed to make our life better, but do they really? And up to what point? They have a hidden cost in our everyday life that is always not included in the price tag. Imagining how to shift from one of these, it's hard to imagine how to shift from one of these easy, and some are a little bit harder to imagine. The convenience of driving your car for short trips will have to be replaced by buses, bikes, walking. Okay, that's kind of like, I get it. The convenience of having something shipped from halfway across the world to your doorstep might be replaced by having to pick it up at the post office. I can imagine that. Those are like easy. But then there's other conveniences that are, for me, a little bit hard to imagine. And since because it is Earth Day, I thought it was a responsible fact to talk about this. So, for example, the Department of Defense, which includes the US military, has been quoted as the largest institutional user of petroleum and correspondingly the single largest institutional producer of greenhouse gases in the world. And this is according to Dr. Netta Crawford, who is the professor and chair of political science at the Boston University, who directs this project called The Cost of War at Brown and Boston University. So our US military, just ours, has the largest greenhouse producers in the world as an institution. So I want to be clear in mentioning the Department of Defense. I am not against any of the predominantly working class people who joined the military as a way forward. I have lots of family members who chose to do that. And honestly, I tell people all this all the time, that if that would have been an option to me, but I'm undocumented, I would have 100% joined the military. So I'm just gonna name this and move on. But I can imagine getting around public transit for a day or a week. I can imagine how my routine would shift, how I could go to the grocery store. I can see that. I can visualize it. It would take a little longer. Yeah, I get it. I can imagine giving up my Amazon Prime. I have given it up at least 2 times in the last 3 years. So it's a work in progress. But I have a hard time imagining what it would be like to not have a Department of Defense, our single largest institutional producer of greenhouse gases. I have a hard time imagining this without falling back on fear and scarcity and that narrative that is often told to us. But then I remember that we must imagine it, even though we haven't experienced it. For some of our kids here in the US and other countries, this country has been at war since birth. It's a big task to imagine a different possibility. But climate change is real. And we have to adjust and adapt not just our individual behavior, but our societies, our system-wide conveniences. We want to leave this bountiful earth for future generations and continue to work towards the goals of world community with peace, liberty, and justice, and respect for that interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part of, as the principles remind us. So we have to adapt our behavior away from these things marketed us to as convenience. So how do we do that? How do we care for one another and adjust to the changing world around us that requires us to change? How do we boldly step away from the comforts of convenience? I'm not sure if the answers, and I wish I had an answer. It would be so easy if somebody had an actual answer. But I have a small idea, and I want to try it with us today. I have to remind ourselves that we are humans, and as societies, as congregations, as creatures of rhythm and ritual, every week we practice rituals here. We come in, sign in, grab our name tags, say hello, start with a song, and perhaps we should rely on rituals here too. We should rely on rituals as we prepare ourselves for change and transformation. Are there rituals that we can create for ourselves as individuals or congregation that will make us more adept to change and open to transformation? Are there rituals that we can practice to help us imagine? Do we sing a song? I'm not going to make us sing right now. Not on the spot. Maybe in the future we can sing together again a song about transformation. But my idea here is to use ritual and music. So there are many trains of thoughts of what makes a good ritual. Some say it's intention, repetitions, and actions. Some say it's highly sacral and a place of importance. It's probably a mix of some of all of whatever makes it of value to you and communities and cultures. But for today, I want to focus on repetition, intention, and music. I think it can help us and prepare us to approach our constantly changing world. Let's see if we can ritualize a song for transformation. So I'm going to ask you to take a few moments right now and to think of a song. I'm not going to ask you to sing it. You don't have to share it. But just think of a song that inspires you and moves you in a positive way. this could be anything. This could be like, this is the song that I put on when I have to clean my house because nothing is going to get me going. Or this is a song that I really like to listen to when I am going to go garden outside. Or this is the song that I listen to whenever I hear what's happening in the Tennessee State Legislature. Anything. It could be punk rock, it could be pop, it could be anything you want. It could just be a musical, anything. It could be a hymn. It just has to make you feel good. So I'm going to pause for a few moments, and I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and search for that song. And when you have found that song, I'm going to invite you to open your eyes. So take a moment, search for that song. And when I see that most of us have opened our eyes, I'll continue. But right now, everyone just close your eyes and find that song that makes you move, that makes you feel good. Yeah. When you have found it, feel free to open your eyes. Take a moment too if you haven't found it yet. Silence could be a song too. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see a lot more open eyes in this direction. So it's a wonderful practice, exercise of practice of moving together as well. All right. So with the song, I want you to think if you can build a ritual with the song that you love and then moves you. Maybe when you're upcoming and you're being faced with a challenging situation, or maybe when you're trying to answer the big questions of life of how do we deal with climate, what does it mean for future generations, I want you to remember the song, and can you place the song in the process to strengthen you? Can you place the song and shape this hard decision and think about a future together, to imagine a bountiful future? Can we make the song and help us move boldly into action and try to shift this framework of fear into what do we all have to gain when we care for each other, when we transform the world around us? So I hope that we can use this. We can make the song, whatever song that you decided to choose, and shape it into something that gives you safety and comfort as we question the big questions of our time. Let's see if we can ritualize transformation. So, our beautiful earth needs us to change. It needs us to transform our way of being, to question our modern day conveniences. Our great-great-great-grandkids are asking us to change, if you can hear them, asking us to act collectively, to question, and I know change can be scary, especially if we fall back on the scarcity mindset. But as Unitarian Universalists, we have great tools at our disposals. We have the principles that lead us forward. We have a congregation of shared values. We have our weekly rituals, which today have been such a joy on the piano. And now our personal ritual that brings us strength and renewal. And if we are to thrive, if we are to look forward with committed optimism, if we are to act with care and concern for each other as we constantly adapt, if we focus on abundancy, can you imagine the world that we are capable of? And if we do it with a song of our choice, transformation is starting to feel a little bit like a dance party.